Champions League. It was this round of 16 match. Like normally in the round of 16, there's like one good matchup, like really good matchup, and like I don't find that there's one really good one. Like I think the most intriguing is probably Napoli, Barca, and Inter and Atletico. Um, but they're like, normally there's like, Bayern, PSG, or something of
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
magnitude. And there wasn't this time around, but that's totally fine. And Dortmund played PSV. They drew. I'm still hurt that AC Milan did not make it out of that group. Heartbreaking, very heartbreaking.
We could
Um,
get to Europa later, don't worry.
yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Uh, but they tied. I'll be honest, I didn't
Yeah.
watch the game. I watched highlights. Uh, I'm just not clamoring to the zone to go watch Dortmund and PSV. It's no shade. It's just not a matchup that interests me. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize to the people that are PSV and Dortmund fans. I don't think I've ever met personally a Dortmund or a PSV fan. I don't think I've ever met a fan of um, a Dutch team in person. Obviously, I'm sure they're out there, but I haven't met them. I haven't met them.
Honestly, like
Dortmund,
PSV is looking good, but Dortmund's just Dortmund every year, and it's just like
that they're not like outside of that year with Klopp when they went to the final against Bayern. And of course, in '97, they won in '97. And in the late '90s and the early 2000s, they were like in
yeah.
the semi-final picture like quite a bit.
yeah.
And they beat Juve in '97, like I said before. Um, but you know what I mean? Like they're just there. They're like
They
a
lost
Benfica
Yeah.
and
they lost that competitive team, and it's not like they're not competitive. Like if you're making Champions League, you are. But like they
yeah,
lost that core group, and then once that group ended, it was kind of they're just coasting through
Yeah.
onto the same. It's like a repeat of every year, repeat of
they're in
every year.
purgatory. They're in
Yeah,
purgatory. Like
yeah.
they're never okay. Maybe not say never, but like once in a decade they'll be good enough to make it to the final and potentially win it, but like not on a consistent basis. They'll
It's
always
because
be
Oh
in the
yeah,
picture.
yeah,
They're like a Benfica, like a Porto, like those teams like
they get
yeah,
their
they're
guys
always
and
in
then
the
they
picture.
cash in, which is like
Yes.
the sad part, right?
Or
Like Jude and Haaland, like they had the
yeah,
I mean, Sancho's back now, so it's like let's see what
yeah,
happens with him. But it's like it's always like you get a big star and then they sell him. When they went to the Champions League final, it was Mario Götze, and then he built up
yeah.
his career, and then he went to Bayern Munich. So it's just like it's been their thing. They just lose their great players.
yeah. A lot of
It's
teams are like that
unfortunate.
in Champions League.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate because you look at Bart, like you know, we can transition to the Barca Napoli game. If this was last year's Barca team against last year's Napoli team, I would have
that would have
been
been a good
locked
battle.
in.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
would have been locked in. I would have been locked in. But like both teams and Napoli more so than Barca
yeah,
are a shell of themselves.
yeah.
yeah.
Are a
No.
shell of themselves.
They're already on their
It's
third coach of the season. It's
like come
like
on, that's crazy. And granted, I don't think Napoli like I know they have not been good in the league. They have not been good in Serie A. But they didn't look that bad against Barca. They did not look
I
that bad
think it was
against
more
Barca.
that Barca didn't play well,
yeah,
rather than Napoli looking good.
like Barca just didn't look threatening going forward a lot. Like they'd had
No,
some occasions and the play would just drop dead.
Yeah,
Like it just turned everything just turned into nothing.
yeah. And I
Also,
think that speaks to them not really having, Lewandowski he's an all-time great, but he's not the Lewandowski of old.
mhm.
Um, I don't know if
So
that system particularly fits him.
I mean, since the turn of the year, he's been back to his goal scoring ways.
He's
I think
been
he has
back,
like,
but outside of Lewandowski, like who's really a threat,
oh no,
right? Like,
that's
yeah,
your
eh,
guy
it,
Joao Felix hasn't lived
yeah.
up to
But that's why he's
his
also.
potential.
But like this, look, Lewandowski's gonna do Lewandowski. It's not like you know what I mean, he's
yeah,
scoring, but he's not like Barca needs a false nine than a number nine. That's all
with the
traditionally,
construction, with the way this team is constructed,
and
yes,
they've always been constructed like that.
Yeah,
They've always been
team
yeah,
just full of too
midfield
many mids.
heavy,
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. They just beat you off just tiki taka. thing. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
look
like
when they had.
you offer Lewandowski. I'm not gonna say no,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying he's not like they're chase. I feel for the few years now, Barca. Well, look, you could few years now you could speak about a lot about Barca and just their organization, how awful it is. But they're just. I feel like it's chasing names rather than building a structure. And then like
I
you get
feel as of
Pedri,
lately, it's
Gavi, and all that.
yeah,
They started and then they make this random purchase, and you're like, what are you doing?
yeah.
yeah.
I,
I also didn't
like
like
the Joao
Pedri on the left.
Felix.
Like I didn't like
Yeah, I didn't like that
Pedri
either.
playing like
Yeah, no.
Christensen's a center back. Why is he got to be in the midfield? It was just off. And like even during the game, you hear the commentators. He doesn't have the range of passing. Well, he's a center back. Like
Yeah.
there's a reason why he's not usually in that defensive midfielder position. I feel like you could have
Yeah,
put De Jong as that holding midfielder, and
I
then
love Dion. I really do. I
yeah,
feel like he's wasting his. I feel like he's wasting his talents at Barca right now.
and which is odd to say for a midfielder wasting their talents, right? Like that's usually like
Yeah.
a system where midfielders thrive. Is
Yes,
you just don't. It doesn't feel like you hear about him enough. I mean, they have Pedri and Gavi, who are their Spanish guys that I feel like get thrown out there a lot more, and I feel like Pedri is going to be a stud for a long time.
for
He's
sure.
not an Iniesta. He's not a guy who can play the wing. It doesn't look like he can play the wing as good as Iniesta could. Like
Yeah,
Iniesta was pretty much able to play anywhere at like
Yeah.
in different positions up top, even though it wasn't like in a striker position. But he played center forward a little bit. He played on the wings. He played in the midfield. Like I don't think Pedri's that type of midfielder, but in the middle, like he can dictate and make great pass. The goal was it wasn't like a stellar pass, but it was like it was great vision for him to see, look up, and Lewandowski was making the little inside cut in, and he just gave him a perfect ball for the goal. Like I don't know, I feel like, and
yeah.
it looked like he was playing in the midfield in that position. I don't know. For me, just him set up on the wing, I feel like they could have done without Christensen. Maybe started Rafinha, and they would.
Yeah,
I think they could have had a couple more chances, but like
It's because I think they need some strength in the midfield.
yeah,
I mean, hell, you could have put Joao Felix on the wing. Like he's played the wing
yeah,
Yeah.
before, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's
it's
what I
not
would have done.
ideal, but you can still do it. And he does it for Portugal because Ronaldo's always Ronaldo's not leaving the
yeah. And
striker
then they got
position.
Giancarlo Ramos too, that they got as striker there too now. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about that. Because he shouldn't have started against Morocco, but that's whatever.
he scored a hat trick the game before.
That doesn't matter though. Because you saw when Ronaldo came onto the field that he had their best opportunity to score, and I believe Bono, if I recall correctly, made a great save.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's not. I digress. Um, Listen, Napoli have a tall task on their hand because now you got to go back to the Bernabeu. So whoa,
Paused.
whoa, Barca fans, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
But
The
they're not
Camp
going to the
Nou,
Camp Nou. They're not. It's under construction. They're playing at the Olympic Stadium.
that is true. I forgot.
Yeah.
Which is, you know what? It's still a tall task for Napoli, but
Yeah.
not being at the Camp Nou,
Oh,
that's
Camp
a
Nou is
big
different.
deal.
Yeah.
That different. You hear players talk about it all the time, like when they walk into the
Yeah.
Camp Nou or the Bernabeu, it's like a
There's certain
different
stadiums
energy.
that have
Yeah.
different
It's
and
different
it's
energy.
the Dortmund Stadium is another stadium that's
Yes,
just
Yeah.
you feed off
Roma,
that crowd. Yeah,
Yeah.
Stadio Olimpico, like
Yeah.
watching that game against I know we'll touch on Europa League a little bit later, but
Yeah.
watching that game against Feyenoord, like
The
the
start of
crowd
extra
is
time,
electric.
crowd was yelling their songs like it was the beginning of
Yeah,
the game. There was no die down to
absolutely.
anybody in that crowd.
Yeah. But who do you guys have winning the second leg?
For Barca Napoli,
Yeah.
I think I'd be shocked to see Napoli win just because of such a I was shocked they even drew. The coach, he was hired
Osimhen
2
made a
days
great
before.
play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that coach was
Russell,
hired 2 days before that game, so it's like
yeah,
the system's not even in play yet for him to like develop anything. But
yeah,
I feel like it's just a tall task for Napoli to get out of that game.
to go into
Yeah,
you're
I
right.
give the edge to Barca, but it's like I think it's just gonna be a game like the first leg. Like I think it's like a 2-1 win, but it's like a late 2-1 win.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
Barca
listen,
is not showing that prowess. You know what I mean? Like they have
no.
there's a lot of build up that's amazing, and like Barry said, it kind of just dies, and I don't see that changing for the next game. So that's why I'm saying it's like a 2-1, like a late 2-1 win, or it goes into extra time.
You see, like Osimhen's always a threat,
Yeah.
always. And like I don't think Napoli played horribly, but like they there was like a lot of just like they didn't really get Osimhen good
Yeah.
balls, right? Like the one pretty good ball that he got, he scored. And
Yeah.
if they want to beat Barca away from home, Kvaratskhelia has to step up.
Yeah.
Yes, he I didn't
Yeah.
even notice he was on the field.
Took him
I
off.
didn't even notice. I
Yeah.
didn't even notice. Like he needs to step up. Um, he's regressed from last season,
Yeah.
and
But
there could be a
everyone
whole. I
has.
mean,
Everyone has.
yeah, there could be a whole host of reasons as to why.
Yeah. I think the
But he just,
Spalletti loss is a big loss for them.
of course, absolutely. But he needs to have a good game. If he doesn't have a good
Yeah.
game, there's and listen, Kunde is good.
That
Kunde is
and
good,
Araujo.
and
Those.
Yeah.
like they're good. But like Kunde clamped Kvaratskhelia up. Like there
Yeah.
was a ball that was played, and Kvaratskhelia was running for it, and like he got no pace compared to like zero pace compared to
Yeah.
Kunde. Like Kunde just outran him to the ball, and I said, "Dang, bro!" Like
Yeah.
if
That's been a big
he
knock on
his
Kvaratskhelia is
game,
that he doesn't have that burst. Like he's
no,
great
no,
with the
No,
ball
but
at his feet and he can make
yes,
plays,
yeah.
but he doesn't have that extra gear.
That's
Like
why he's not
when
fit
it
for
comes to
Napoli.
yeah,
You
a
you
layout
can't
would be
you can't
more
be like a
fit.
1-2 punch with like zero pay. Like, you know what I mean? It's an
yeah,
Osimhen and Cavacelia show, right? So if one's
Yeah,
off, I feel like the whole team kind of drops. That's
mhm,
why he's
100%.
better fit. He's better fit. Like, he would be great in a Barca system because they hold the ball. They're not long balling.
yeah,
They're not running. They give the ball to him wide. Like, you know what I
Strategic.
mean? He's good with
yeah,
the ball on his feet, not good chasing the ball.
I think he would even be good on Inter, right? Because
Yeah.
that they're not they don't got speed demons
no,
all over the
No.
field, right? They're just so. We'll get to them.
mhm,
We'll get to them right now.
Yeah.
Inter versus
yeah,
Atletico. You know what? Listen, I'm a Milan fan. Obviously, I don't like Inter, but
that team's
I
good.
do. The team is
It's
freaking
they're well.
yo.
I've been a huge fan of Inzaghi, Simone Inzaghi, since I despise Lazio.
Yes,
He was great there. What he
yes.
did for that system was fantastic, and I thought it was a great move for him to go to Inter. And that team is running on all cylinders right now, and it pains me to
I'll
say it.
um, it, they're fucking good. They're so good. Like, but I will say, Marcus Thuram should be back for the second leg.
Yeah.
Um, Arnautovic
Oh,
missed it. He missed a
couple.
700
crazy, but
chances.
Yeah,
like
he missed a couple sitters.
his biggest miss, the build-up play
Oh, that was
was
beautiful.
beautiful.
From
Yeah.
the
It
back
was
end, from starting with the goalie and everything, it was perfect. I mean, the ball was like a touch too far for him, but I think that was just because he doesn't have enough pace to get to the ball, and I feel like
yeah,
He's a
Thuram would have
target
got
man.
to it. But like
yeah,
for him, the ball was just a tad too far for him to reach it.
yes. And they dominated. Like they
Yeah,
dominated. Like Atletico had a couple of chances, but
Yeah.
like for the most part they
But that's
dominated.
like
But
Atletico's game plan too.
exactly.
yeah,
But
Like,
that's why
you
I was a
never
little bit
Atletico never dominates. It's defend and counter on whatever
yeah,
little, like, is Inter better? Yes. Was Inter better in the game? Absolutely. But it's like I can say this for a lot of the games. None of them are over because they're all like close games. And it's like
yeah,
you count Atletico Madrid out, but they're never out. That's the
mm,
issue. Like, you know what I mean? You're like, the Inter basically won across the board, yet it was still only 1-0. So it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
look, they miss a lot of chances, but it's like Atletico somehow just keeps doing that.
yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
I
always like they're chasing the game and still somehow wins, and you're like, what?
but
That's just their repertoire.
that's why I was concerned for Inter because like I thought it was like a bit of a style like they're not that they're similar because I think Inter is far more clinical.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I was just concerned in terms of matchup, right? Because if Inter can't bury one,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen, right? Then you're leaving things to chance. But they
That's
got the
kind of how
1-0
it is right
lead.
now.
Yeah, they got the 1-0 lead. Sorry, and there's good now. Atletico is going to be hard pressed to,
Yeah.
score against Inter. It's absolutely going to be hard pressed. You're not
They're
just
going
going
back to Atletico though.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But it's still going to be difficult nonetheless because Inter, like we're saying, they're just to me they're a top
They're a
three
top.
team in the world right
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like it's crazy because there's no one like like this is just a team that's playing amazing as a team.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
they're well
this
coached.
is a product of the coach, not a product of superstars.
Yes.
I'm not
I
saying
mean,
there aren't, and there aren't
I feel
players
like
shining.
Barella is a little slept on as a midfielder. I think he's one
Yeah,
of the best
he didn't have
mids
the
in the
best of
world right
games
now.
yesterday actually, or not yesterday, last game against
Yeah,
Atletico.
but I'm just saying, like overall, he's one of the better midfielders in the world, and I just feel like he's just not talked about enough.
Yeah,
Maybe it's because
Yeah.
he's in Italy, but like that guy is special.
yeah, but I think it's mainly a product of the coach,
Yeah,
this team, rather than like it being carried by just an unreal lineup,
yeah.
which they are. But
I mean, Lautaro is having the best season of his career right now. He's far and away the top goal scorer in the league, and he's
you could say he's a top scorer of the league every
yeah,
year. I will not care because when it comes to anything outside of the league, he has done nothing.
he's
Yeah, he kind of has that.
Immobile.
Thank you. Yes, he goes MIA. He goes MIA.
the
Outside of
big
Italy, he's
moments.
MIA.
Yeah, and that's something that if they want to win, but luckily, honestly, I think Marcus Thuram. I think I mean, listen, you look at his track record, at least in Serie A against the big teams, he's produced. He's produced. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
even if Lautaro can't do it and Lukaku couldn't, like Lukaku, he's another one in big moments. I do not trust him. But Thuram,
We can get to that later.
I just don't trust him ever.
We
So
can
it's
talk
fine.
about that in
Yes.
the next game.
yes,
'Cause-
Thuram can. I feel like he's a big game player.
Yeah.
Porto Arsenal. Arsenal don't register a shot on target. Pepe, 40 years old. He played great. I can't lie. He played great. He
Still
played
can't
great.
believe he broke my guy's record. Oldest
Yes.
man in the Champions League to score a goal, and he's a center back.
I know. It's insane. And Porto really should have been up 1-0 early. Like Galeno had that opportunity, hit the crossbar, and the reaction time of him was insane. And like Arsenal is absolutely lucky that he narrowly missed opening up the scoring far earlier. And then he buries the winner in the 94th minute, whatever it was. And it didn't even like, listen, I'm not a keeper. I don't know. But like, it looked like if he had positioned himself better, he could have saved it. That's what it looked like. But
Yeah,
I don't
it's not an easy thing to save. But I also think it was a misplay on the keeper side.
Yeah.
But again, it's when I said the Lazio Bayern loss and I wasn't surprised. I'm also not surprised. Like when Arsenal has finally become Arsenal again in the league.
Yeah.
They have not shown this yet in Champions League or Europa League. Like, you know what I mean? They haven't shown this out in Europe. And yes, Porto hasn't won since Mourinho, but Porto is in Champions League year in, year out, and it shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the experience that Arsenal doesn't have now, hasn't had for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's true.
And like we talked about last week, sometimes Saka disappears, right? It's just he hasn't got that consistency yet in his game
because they're not used to playing those big European clubs, right? Like Paul mentioned, like this is their first, at least this rendition of the team.
This core
first taste of big clubs in Europe.
Yeah.
I know, Declan Rice played for West Ham. They beat Fiorentina, but Fiorentina is not no big club. You know what I mean?
The conference is not the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a participation trophy.
We got the first ever trophy. We got it. That's all that matters.
Congrats, you won the participation award.
You should have won the second one too, but that's a whole other conversation.
My
That-
seven
no, that's
aside league
Europa
trophy
League.
is basically the
That's-
same.
Sorry, yeah, you should have won Europa League. But like, you know, now listen, Porto got to go to Arsenal, which will definitely not be easy. And listen, aside from that game, Arsenal's been dominant in the league. Like,
Yeah.
they've been piling up goals like crazy. So Porto's definitely going to have their hands full. But I'm just curious to know, like, if they can pull it off, right? Because Porto's been here and done. Porto beat Juve when they had Ronaldo. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're no stranger to beating big clubs, and for a lot of the times they play clubs that are bigger than them because the Portuguese teams are very good. No disrespect, but
Yeah.
you're going up against Juve, you're going up against Real, like you go up against these teams. They're obviously gonna be deficient talent wise in comparison to those teams.
But it's
So
these smaller teams are always better coached. They're always they're better structurally. They don't let you have many chances, so the chances you do have, you got to take them. But like, it's just how that's how they have to play for them to be competitive because they don't have. I mean, there's a lot of teams that don't have the money anymore these days, but like they just don't have the funds to get the talents that especially in England, but like just the rest of the world has right now.
Exactly. So who you guys have winning the second leg?
I think Arsenal will pull through. I think it'll be probably like a 2-0 win. But
Or
like,
Porto.
You going with Porto?
I think Porto goes through. Is it a Porto win? Because technically they go through in a draw. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Also, I'm starting to think they should bring back the away goal.
No.
No. Stop
Hear me
that.
out.
It makes it more
it's okay.
exciting at the end sometimes, but it's just
Yes.
like you don't want to go
That's it.
like. For me, scoring a goal away doesn't mean I should win the game. Like it just
I hear
doesn't
you.
I want the
seem-
excitement back, but not in this in that
But
rule.
bro, like, how can you replicate the excitement though? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and maybe it's, but you know what? Maybe also it's because the quality of clubs and the quality of players is not what it once was.
Yeah.
But like you look at like for you know what? I'm on the fence about it because you look at that first year where they did take it away.
Yeah.
Real Madrid went on that crazy comeback spree against Chelsea, against PSG, against Man City. Like that was exciting, right? So maybe it's a club thing. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we're starting to usher back into the era where there's so many good players, right? I feel like it's on the horizon. I feel like it's coming. There's been a lull for maybe like 2, 3, 4 years, maybe, right? Like once the Sergio Ramos era kind of went on the decline, obviously Ronaldo, Messi, they've still been good. But,
Yeah, you don't talk
but those
about
are
them.
that's a different class, right, on its
You have,
own. So it's like it's
players,
hard.
and then you have Ronaldo, Messi.
Yeah, it's not comparable.
Exactly. But anyways.
But I don't think that excitement's gone. I think we're just saying it now because the first round hasn't been lackluster. It just hasn't been like
But that's the usual thing with Champions League. Like it's always the second round that's the more exciting because you get rid of all the the smaller. There's always the one or two upsets, but usually the smaller teams are out by round 2, and then you have the juggernauts that play each other.
Oh, I'm not even saying that. I'm saying the first leg, 1-0 Real.
Yeah,
1-0
it's been all
Lazio.
1-0, yeah.
1-1, 1-0, 1-1, like 1-0. Like it's
high-scoring
the
games.
perfect setup for the second leg excitement because nothing is there's other than Man City's 3-1 and maybe PSG's 2-0, which can still come back.
It's Copenhagen.
I'm not writing nothing off for Champions League. But you know what I mean? Like they're all the games are a 1-goal game. Like this is the perfect setup for a second leg, just spectacle.
Yeah.